What's up everyone, welcome back to another What If video. If you haven't already, I recommend watching part 1.5 for the backstory on all of these characters, since it'll explain to you why some of these characters are here in the first place. First, we'll start off by doing a recap of every character's power level, because there are a lot of characters here. First, Gine is at 2,000, Paragus is at 3,800, a little lower than the original Broly movie, so it fits that he's around that level. Gohan is at 4,000, Nappa is at 10,000 because he has more training, so it's higher than normal. Shallot and Giblet are at 7,000, Piccolo is at 11,000, Goku is at 13,000, Raddatz is at 15,000, Turles is at 25,000, which is higher than his movie because he has more training. Vegeta is at 27,000 for the same reason, he has more training. And Broly is the strongest of the group at 50,000. And he's also able to control his wrathful form and push it up to 500,000. And if you watch my last video, you see an explanation as why. They wanted to train him to be more able to control his power, so he can actually do that this time, and he won't go berserk and kill everyone. Gine not really being a fighter is the weakest of the group, but she has been training because she knows she needs to defend herself, and her power is actually higher than what Raddatz was in canon. The strongest of the group, unsurprisingly, is Broly, for the reasons I just explained. King Vegeta mentioned to Paragus that he should get Broly under control while they're in seclusion, so Paragus did just that, and he did accomplish it to a degree. But when Broly was found by the other Saiyans, their expertise actually helped train him to master this form completely, and he can go into his wrathful form at will without losing control. Since a few of the Saiyans already knew how to control the Great Ape form, they're able to help Broly do somewhat the same with this form. For Shallot and Giblet, well, I just gave them a random power level in the middle. There's nothing to really base theirs off of, so I feel those power levels are pretty good, I guess? So now that we've covered the power levels of the group, we can actually get into the story. Goku is introduced to Gine as we left off last time, and he doesn't really know how to react to this. I mean, obviously he's glad to find his mother and see that she's alive, but sadly he doesn't really know or remember her. He feels kind of bad that he doesn't know how to react to this because it's kind of awkward for him in a way, which saddens both of them. To break the awkward tension, Raddatz mentioned to her that Goku has amnesia and hit his head as a child, which also is why he doesn't call himself Kakarot, and explains why he doesn't react differently to meeting Gine. It's weird, but it's a somewhat nice reunion for them. It's sort of closure for Gine to get to see her son again and for Goku to know that his mother's still alive. Raddatz also introduces Goku to Vegeta and his brother Tarble, who I didn't mention in the last part because I wanted to save for this one. They're still important, don't worry. Even though he's only the second strongest, Vegeta is the leader of the group because he is their prince after all, and he has some good leadership skills. Even though we're making the Saiyans good, just as I mentioned in part 1, I'm not going to be changing their personalities completely. I imagine Vegeta being kinda like how he is after the Buu saga or in Super. He's a good guy, but he's kinda cold towards people, and he doesn't really like to show his true emotions. And he's still very prideful. But he's basically the Vegeta we know and love, just in a different point in time. Goku is also introduced to everyone else after this, alongside Gohan and Piccolo. It's an interesting meet and greet. Everyone is interested in seeing Gohan as a hybrid Saiyan, because that's something they've never seen before. And Piccolo is kind of unique there because he's the only non-Saiyan. For Goku, Piccolo, and Gohan, it's interesting for them to meet all of these people, especially seeing Goku's family, and that there's a Saiyan who looks exactly like him, that being Turles. Gohan also studies a lot of the Saiyan and Frieza Force technologies that he finds on this planet, as well as the planet itself in its free time. Goku did promise Chi-Chi he'd let Gohan do some studying, and he's doing just that. It's a nice way for him to occupy himself. The technology here interests him, and he wants to show Chi-Chi that he actually learned something while he was on this trip. The Saiyans, although not that strong yet, recruited Goku because they needed strength in numbers, and they want to train to become stronger so they can eventually attack Frieza and defeat him. But as you can tell by their power levels, it hasn't been going as well. They fill Goku in on this, and this is perfect because he basically brought a gravity room along with him, as the ship was modified in the last part by Bulma. This is great for the Saiyans since they now have a new place to train, and it will make it a lot more efficient. It'll speed up the process of gaining power so they can eventually oppose Frieza at a suitor point. For now, all they know from some rumors is that Frieza's power is above 500,000, and apparently he has another form which is nearly twice as powerful as that. They've also heard that he might have 2 other forms, but they're not quite sure if it's true yet. They don't even really know that much about it, but just to be safe, they keep it in mind. And while all of the Saiyans could try to go Great Ape and use strength in numbers, they want to be extra cautious since they only have one shot at this, in order to stop Frieza and avenge their race. Before they plan any attack on him, they need to train and become a lot stronger. Training begins, and it's very effective considering that this is a decently sized group and it benefits from Zenkais as well as the gravity training. From the extended amount of time they've been on this planet, the group has been able to procure certain technologies to help them grow, such as Saiyan healing pods, which means they could do some major training and not worry about life-threatening injuries, although their healing won't be instant. Over about a year of intense gravity training in Zenkais, this is what everyone's power level looks like. Gine is at 170,000 alongside Paragus, Tarble is at 280,000, Gohan is at 290,000, and it gets a little bit higher when he's enraged. Nappa's at 330, Piccolo's also at 330, and Shallot and Giblet are at 340,000, given that they're pretty much the same power during this whole thing. Raddatz is getting a bit stronger and is at 350,000, with Turles ahead of him at 390. Vegeta, the prince, is now third strongest at 450,000, and Goku has actually surpassed him and gotten to 460,000. They're pretty much neck and neck, but the only reason Goku's ahead is because he got a head start on the gravity training because he did it on the way here, and he could handle higher levels than Vegeta could earlier on. And then Broly is still the strongest at a whopping 750,000. So as you can see, everyone got a massive increase in power in just 1 year of training, some who are multiple times stronger than before. Goku has actually surpassed Raddatz and now is on Vegeta's level, and spends most of his time training with Vegeta and Broly. Gohan, Raddatz, and Piccolo also grow close both in power and as people. Raddatz and Piccolo are pretty friendly now, making Piccolo also friendly with Turles by extension because it's Raddatz's best friend. The same goes with Gohan, who's actually grown close with his uncle, and with Piccolo as his best friend like in the original story. Piccolo still takes kind of a mentor role with Gohan, with Raddatz and Turles also helping in. They see the potential in him and want to train him to be the best he can be. Not just with those groups, but everyone has been able to bond with this training, as the trust between all of them grows and the new members fit in nicely. Goku is able to lightly train with Gine, and he begins to build a better relationship with his mother and his brother during this time. Another interesting development in this time is the fact that everyone is learning to control the Great Ape form if they haven't already, since they all see the benefits of it. Gohan especially benefits from this since he didn't know how to control being a Great Ape before, and now he could fully do it at will, as well as create a Power Ball if needed, without losing too much power from creating one. Goku, however, without his tail, went a different route. Considering he trains with Broly a lot, he wanted to see if he could access the Wrathful form, since he can't turn into a Great Ape like normal anymore. This is extremely hard to control for him, but he's able to do it when he's enraged and is somewhat conscious, but is in a dangerous state when using this power. Similar to this, since he's training with them too, Vegeta tries to learn this form as well, with a little bit better control but not by much, just because he has some experience as a Great Ape. He sees this form as superior to the Great Ape form for obvious reasons, and he wants to learn to control it like Broly can. They eventually learn to utilize it alongside Raddatz and Turles as well, because of their experience and power, but they're prone to going berserk and have very short temper in this form. Sadly, Piccolo benefits the least from this training because the only transformation he has now is his Great Namekian form, which isn't really that useful since it's extremely painful to use and is only ever seen to increase his durability and attack potency, but not actually multiply his power like the Great Ape form does. He instead spends his time focusing on techniques and is able to make more advanced versions of things like the Hellzone Grenade or Masenko, and he's able to perfect his special beam cannon to a point where it has the same power boost, but instead of taking time to charge now, it's insanely deadly because he can charge it in under a second. And that might not seem like a lot of time, but when you're fighting at insane speeds like these people are, it still is a decent amount of time, but imagine being hit by that still at the same power level with Piccolo being able to charge it much faster. That could be deadly for anyone. This year of training has really helped with bonds, like I said. Much like Vegeta and Tarble in this What If, Goku and Raddatz are now really close as brothers as well. But remember, the Saiyans are working with Frieza still, to gain his trust, and this creates some issues. The group is already large enough to raise some suspicion. However, adding 3 more members makes it worse, so they've actually been hiding Goku, Piccolo, and Gohan, as well as suppressing their own powers thanks to what they've learned from Goku about sensing and suppressing ki. The way they do this is by having a maximum of 10 people training at once, since that's the maximum amount of people Frieza thinks are part of the group. If all 13 trained at once, or they suddenly had a massive spike in energy, Frieza or his goons would notice the extra power levels and it would raise some alarms. They try to keep it under the radar, but Frieza himself begins to get suspicious because he notices slight increases in their power. Perhaps I was a bit too gracious in sparing those monkeys. Given that their element of surprise and trust from Frieza is quickly fading, and the fact that they're getting a lot stronger now, they decide that they need to attack pretty soon. They can all use the Great Ape form or the Wrathful form to multiply their power by 10, and they feel now that they're more than powerful enough to overwhelm Frieza, even if he does have those 2 more forms. If the group all transformed at once, their combined power would not only overwhelm Frieza, but would be in the tens of millions, much greater than the supposed power of Frieza's first transformation, and probably even bigger than any form he has beyond that. However, there's one major mistake that they're making. They don't even know the full extent of Frieza's power. Their collective power is only a small percentage of Frieza's full power. They're grossly underestimating how powerful Frieza is, given that they don't know the full extent of his other forms, or if he even has them, and how powerful they are. Even with this, they decide to create a plan to lure Frieza somewhere somehow so they can actually attack. They can't go after him and his ship, since transforming into a great ape in a spaceship would destroy the ship and leave them to die in space, and they can't attack him without using that power. They also don't want to lead him to any planet with bystanders, but they don't know how to make a barren planet appealing to Frieza. But Piccolo gets a great idea. Every Saiyan by now knows about the Dragon Balls, but since they were so far away on Earth from Namek, they didn't really go for them because they didn't need them too badly. At least not yet, but they still know how useful they are, because of what they can do. However, Frieza doesn't know about them yet. He's only heard rumors and legends about them, and he doesn't know if they actually exist or work. He knows that they're from Namek, and since there's a Namekian in the group, Piccolo suggests to the group that they could tell Frieza they found a Namekian who can make Dragon Balls, that being Piccolo, and tell him that they're scattered around this somewhat empty planet that they're already on, which would influence him to come here. They could tell Frieza they've captured this Namekian and convince him that there's Dragon Balls on this planet now, which would make him know that they're real and would influence him to travel to this planet to wish for immortality. All they would need to do is make one fake Dragon Ball to convince Frieza that there's more, and once he's here they could somehow split him up from his soldiers so they could be taken care of, and Frieza will be alone by himself. Besides, every Frieza Force soldier is fodder. Zarbon and Dodoria are nothing, and even the Ginyu Force isn't that much of a challenge. But little do they know, things are going to get pretty ugly once Frieza actually shows his true power. But we'll save that for the next episode. Now it's time for another poll. Even though their plan may end poorly, how will it end up going in the heat of the moment? Will it go smoothly and everything goes well up until they encounter Frieza, or will it go poorly and the whole plan falls apart and they get exposed early on? Vote in the poll to decide what happens in the next part. What did you think about this part, and how will the next part go? What did you vote for in the poll and why? Comment your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe as always, and hit the bell icon for notifications for future parts of this What If and other videos of mine. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.